Good morning and hello everybody. My name is Jake Johnston. This is Jake Showcase. I do videos on Wednesdays. Today's date is March the 11th, 2017, and today marks the 7th year of me being sober. And today what I thought I would do is I would do basically sort of a reflection and why I think it's significant right this period of time. I'm also going to talk about ongoing difficulties that I face. I'm going to then talk also about, I'm going to talk about basically hope, the techniques that I have, and I'm going to hopefully talk a bit about hope for the future. Okay, so I know I had previously said that I wouldn't do any more alcohol and drug-related videos on sobriety, and generally speaking, that would be the case. However, I basically, as time goes by, you sort of have some additional insights, and I just thought that that would be, I just sort of, this is my second video since then, and I have a alcohol and drug playlist on the bottom of my YouTube channel that I always keep there. I don't change that playlist, so I've got some fairly in-depth things about different phases and stages of experiences that I've had. But this being 7 years, I thought it was really important because at least I had to look this up, but I had sort of been under the impression that every 7 years that your physical cells in your body change, like they basically remake themselves, right? And I kind of have always thought that like 7 years, basically you're a whole new person. Like your skin changes, your organs change, your veins, everything changes in you. Now I found out that number one, that's a bit of an urban myth, that every 7 years you are not a completely different person. For example, your bones can take 10 years for the bone cells to regenerate, so it's actually 10 years. And also, I also found out that elements of your heart, your brain, and your eye never change, right? And nonetheless, just me personally, I had always kind of thought that 7 years, if I can make 7 years, 7 years is huge because my whole body's different. And on the plus side, though, your cells are always changing, right? Like they're consistently changing. I think actually your skin cells are the most changing, so they change, like they're always flaking off and new cells. So you're an ongoing organism, right? You're an ongoing organism as a human being, and so as time goes by, be it 5 minutes or be it a year, right, a lot of parts of your body are sort of recreating themselves. And so you have that opportunity, like your fingernails, your hair, your eye, like all sorts of different things are changing all the time. And so in a way, while in one way, it's a little bit like, oh wow, I'm not a new person, but you kind of always are becoming a new person, right? And so what that means is that for the most part of your body, like the most percent, right, you have that opportunity all the time to sort of make new choices, right? To make a new change and to let, instead of like the bad stuff coming in, you can start, choosing the good stuff, the healthier choices and stuff like that. And, so even though it's not all complete, in fact, it never really becomes a completely new person, you're heading in that direction, like 95%. Who knows? I don't know what the percent is. But the point being is that in one way I was disappointed to find out that A, it was 10 years for bones, B, some of our bodies never change, so you're not 100% a new person, but I was happy to find out that most of our body is consistently changing, and so you don't have to wait such a long period of time to sort of feel that fresh hope that, I'm getting clean, I'm getting sober, and my life's getting a bit better, and I'm becoming that new person with this new sober way, right? So that is one of the main reasons I thought that today, being 7 years, it was significant to at least mark this date for myself. And Okay, so one of the next things I'm going to talk about is challenges, ongoing challenges that I face with alcohol, and I'm also going to talk about ongoing changes I have, like that don't have nothing to do with alcohol, but sort of kind of do have impacts. So as recently as this past month, I had two particular instances that I really, really wanted to drink. Now, I've been sober, 6.5 years, and I was a terrible, terrible drunk, and I like to say I was like the worst drunk ever, because I was really, really bad. And I've got more detail on that on previous videos, but nonetheless, the thinking is that as the desire to drink goes away after X period of time, but I can tell you that it doesn't go away like for good, right? And and this is why I'm starting to think that it's a lot more of like a psychological or brain focused sort of thing, because I'll tell you the two examples. Okay, so the one example was about 3 weeks ago, and it was a Saturday night, and I was working at the job, and I knew I had a couple days off after, right? So it was a Saturday night. It was really, really nice and warm out, right? Like it was like unusually nice. It was kind of that spring sort of feel to it, and I had a bit of money, and I always keep alcohol here, right? I always keep alcohol here as sort of like for guests, but also for me to feel like I have power over the alcohol. But nonetheless, on the downside, you always have the alcohol here, so you're always ready to go just like that. So nonetheless, I knew I had money, I had some time, Saturday night, right? People were in a really good mood, and I was just, I didn't have to work, and I had some time off, and I really wanted to go out. I thought, you know what, Jakey, give it one more rip, give it one more, just get out there, have some freaking fun, enough of this. And you know what, you can say you never got 7 years sober, right? So then you can try to get 7 years sober again, right? And so you can do the whole thing again, right? But you never got 7 years, right? This is how we think, right? Like we think like any sort of excuse, we can talk ourselves into drinking again and to doing drugs again, right? Any sort of excuse, like it's backwards thinking. It's like, I've worked so hard, but then if I drink now, then I can work so hard again, but I never got to that goal, right? So this is the type of thinking, that the rationalizations that I've used many times in the past, and I continue to use, at least in the head, right? So it was hard, you're gripping that steering wheel, and you're like, should I give it, come on, man, just give it one more rip, get out to them bars, man, you gotta go have some fun, bro. So, that didn't happen too long ago, right? That just happened a few weeks ago. And then, even more recently than that, was about 4 days ago, there was a family, friend, community sort of gathering, and I was there, and, just like usual, there's lots of wine, there's lots of beer, it's all being passed around, people are in a good mood, there's music playing, and, like, this is like, where I learned to drink, right? Like, this was sort of the atmosphere, that sort of, like, communal, and drink's just part of it, right? It's just here, it's there, bottle of wine, cup of wine, half a cup, hey, pass me another, let me get you a refill, walking around with the wine bottles. So like this is sort of the atmosphere that, I recognized that alcohol was equated with fun, and with community, and with friends, and stuff like that. And even as a little tyke, that connection happened, in my head, and that's why I love drinking so much, or that's one of the reasons I love drinking so much. And so just being in that atmosphere, I was there for about two hours, but by about that third hour of being there, I really started feeling that pull. Like, I started looking at that wine bottle, and I started like checking out where's the beer, and I started like, thinking like, I'm getting like really feeling like drinking, right? And so I left the party somewhat, abruptly and just rapidly, just because I need to protect myself, and I need to keep the first thing first. And this has been, important in my life, and I've been really working hard for it. And so I guess the point being is that there's a bit of an illusion that, once you get more and more and more sober, right, that, then you don't want to drink anymore, and you don't need to drink anymore, and you're like, it's a non-issue. Because for me, it will always be an issue, right? Like, no matter how much sober I get, right, all I have to do is start drinking, a beer, and I can drink, and I'll be drinking again because I like it. That's another thing. Is actually, I'll talk about that in a few minutes. So the ongoing challenges with alcohol is there, right, for me personally, and it gets right down to like your body's like reaching for it, right? Your mind's like reaching for it, like you're looking at the bar, like the bars and the people having fun, and you're like, oh, just go. It's like, so like that's a real thing. Okay, so then I'm going to talk about problems that aren't to do with alcohol that I'm experiencing. So I was trying to think about the time frame that you really start to like master the techniques of staying away from the alcohol. And I mean you can argue 1 second, or you can argue like a day, or if you want to be like a minimalist, right? Generally I would say like 1 year, once you go through sort of all of the 1 to 3 years. I don't know if 1 year is good enough, because like 1 or 2 or 3 years, like you got to get through like these different holidays, right? So if you go through it once, that's really, really, really good, right? But it's usually going through it like maybe twice. If you can get through all like the big holidays, the birthdays, the Super Bowls, the Christmases, the St. Patty's, the Labor Days, the national holidays, if you can get through them like maybe a couple times, maybe 3 times. So I'd say between maybe 1 and 3 years, right, you start to master some of the date-specific draws to drinking and drugs, right? Because you start to think, well, you start to master that. But this is the thing. There's other problems too, right? So one of the things I've noticed, right, is that you have sort of ongoing, I would say, psychological problems. And I'll say that, psychological problems that sort of, I don't know if they were already there or they emerge, post-drinking. But, like, what I mean by that is, like, your mind basically starts coming back alight. Like, it starts coming back on, right? It comes back on, as you get more and more clean, right? So, like, the little light bulbs, I like to say, like, like imagine a baseball stadium, right? So every day or every period of time, more lights come on, right? And so the lights in the stadium are coming on sort of one by one. It takes a little while for them to light up, and then that one's a light. And then if you ever seen like The Natural, right? For example, like you see like those lights coming on, it's really kind of like your brain. Your brains are coming on, right? So what I'm saying about like psychological problems is that you can start to overthink things, right? You can start to because now all of a sudden you got like this sort of like unused brain power that you haven't had before, or you've been dulling it out, or whatever you want to call it, that's all of a sudden going on. And so your brains start like thinking about things like a lot, right? And you got time too, because you're not spending the 6 to 8 hours or to party for a night, and so you got more time, and you can start to really, really think about things and overthink things, and double and triple overthink things, and go all the way to the end of the line, and then you can it can be really difficult to sort of interact sort of normally, because your brains are just going like so fast ahead, like a chess player, like playing like 18 moves ahead, right? But the truth is you just got to make that that one move. And so sort of calming those lights from coming on and somewhat overwhelming you, like with your mind and stuff like that, and learning how to sort of, and I'm talking about like, let's just say from like 3 years beyond, or even 5 years to 7 years, like learning how to sort of calm those um, overactive, brain cells that you're not used to, and learning how to sort of calm it down, and so that's sort of like something that I've really noticed. That doesn't have nothing to do with drinking directly, but I sort of think it does, because like I say, it's like the baseball stadium, right? And the lights are coming back on for me, right? And for anybody else who's getting a little bit of sobriety in, right? So they're coming back on, and it's really hard to sort of like navigate through that. And also, like, there's social implications. Now, my situation is maybe just a slightly tweaked variation, because I'm on YouTube, and people are recognizing me, that I don't know them, they know me, and stuff like that from that. But I always liked that. I always wanted to be like a star. So I have to say that that's sort of an innate desire, that I wanted to be famous, or I love it. I like the spotlight. I've always liked it. And so, but what I'm saying is that you have things like, you might have like damaged stuff to do with, you could have damaged your body, you could damage your credit, you could damage your social reputation, you could damage you can damage a lot of things, right? And so, again, while you are sober, now, right, people might remember you as a drunk, or you've got, like, in my case, like a trail of troubles that you've left behind. And even though you're getting sober and you're working on it, like those problems are and were there, right? And so that's just reality, right? Like, that's the reality. If you're gonna go and party like a party maniac, right? Yeah, it's fun, but like, it's kind of like you look back and you see a whole bunch of trees that you knock down as you're plowing right through there, right? And then they're still down, and you gotta like try to learn how to fix that. So it does have implications, and it's I think that's another problem that's indirectly related to it. It's post-sobriety, or being sober, that you still have like these real world problems that that you left, and that has and continues to take a long time to shift and change. And I don't know if it will or not. I certainly hope it does. But nonetheless, that's just the reality. Okay, so I think one next thing I'd like to talk about is I'd like to talk about techniques. So what I mean by techniques is how do you stay like sober on a day-to-day basis. Well, I sort of told you one like just a little while ago about that party. like when you're in a situation, a lot of times people they don't want to go near alcohol or parties and stuff like that, and a lot of times like more official people will recommend you just avoiding all that, because it'll be a trigger. Like, that's a big word in our sort of like circle, is the word trigger, right? So I basically think that in a way that socially disengages you a little bit too much often, and makes you like completely inaccessible. So I'll go to a bar and order a hamburger and a drink, but then I'll leave, right? Like, in fact, that's one of my favorite things to do. I gotta leave because I like it too much. I can't be hanging out there, right? But they do have some good food, and I do like that kind of stuff, the music, the sports, good looking girls. I mean, you name it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's there, but you gotta learn how to like minimize that. Same thing with the party. You go to the party, you're there, but as soon as you start feeling uncomfortable, or maybe give yourself a time limit, like say, okay, I'm gonna go for an hour, or I'm gonna go for 2 hours. Me, I usually go for about 2 to 3 hours, right? I like to show up, I like to see people, and that's about my max being there. With a bar, it'd be much shorter. It'd be maybe half an hour or under, right? Like I don't want to be like really involved with that, because it just makes me want to drink, right? And that's hard because I do want to drink, but I can't drink, or I don't drink. I've chosen not to drink, so I've just got to get myself into an environment. And what I'll do instead, and then even like with that whole thing with the job, right? Like I put myself into sort of like a situation where I feel like safe and comfortable, right? Like safe, comfortable, stuff that I like to do. And cozy bed, long walks, sit by a tree, like these types of things, just think, what else do I like to do? I don't know. I like maybe going for a drive. I go on a computer a lot, so I like watching, videos, or maybe a movie or something like that. I like sports too, like, maybe watch a game, or just something that I'm like, and also the food too. Like I'll get the types of food that I know sort of like satiate me, right? And the satiation sort of takes that biological urge, because a lot of times like the alcohol, they want like the blood sugars and stuff like that, and I try not to eat too much sugar, right? But a little tiny bit, it sort of eases that sort of urge down, once in a while. Usually I don't eat sugar, but I'll eat like I'll eat something that's like a starch, like a bread like thing, like a carbohydrate that gives me that sort of satiation feeling. So getting into the right atmosphere, getting into an activity that you're safe in, and getting the right food, right, and getting the right types of foods, and if so, drinks that can sort of get you past that trouble spot, right? Sometimes people have a friend that they can be like a sponsor, or if you're involved with AA. And basically, I'm not involved with AA, but I admire and appreciate their journey as well. And I interact here and there, and we're all on the same page. We're just it might be going a different direction. So I don't think that anyway. Nonetheless, so that's a technique, right? Is foods, place, and activity that that you like, right? One of the problems that I'm going to say about the techniques is that, at least for now, you become a little bit like boring, and I don't know if you want to call it like, like OCD type of person, because I don't know what OCD is, to be honest with you, so I don't know. But I like to do the same things in a particular order, in a pattern, right? And the reason I'll do those things in a pattern is because, like, I know that it works for me, right? And I know that it works for me. Like I usually go on a similar walk every day. Like, I usually go and I'll eat the same types of food pretty much every day with a little bit of variation. I'll go to certain places at certain times, and I know that those things work. So that's like a technique too, is repeat. Now I have to say, that is an A+ way. Like if you did it yesterday and you didn't get drunk, if you do the same pattern today, you won't get drunk today. And if you do it again tomorrow, and you won't get drunk tomorrow, because yesterday you did that and you didn't get drunk. So that sort of way of thinking, right, it works. Like, it really works, right? And now it can get into, and the reason I use the phrase OCD, it can get a little bit too much, right, where you start to block out other things, and like you're only doing the same thing. And I think I am and was guilty of that. And like I would rarely leave my little area, and I wouldn't go out of the city, and I would always do the same thing. So basically, as you gain in your confidence and ability in staying sober, then it's healthy, I think, to start to branch out and start doing different things, and seeing other parts of the world, and different parts of the the country, and going and meeting new people, right, instead of the same people every day, right? So there's a time and a place for that, and I would say the closer you are to, day zero, right, then the better the routines are. And then as you get further along, and quite honestly, I'm still in a routine pretty much now, but I've been, over the last couple years, I've been varying it more, right, where I'll go and talk to different people, and I'll go different routes, and I'll go to visit people in different places. So I've been branching out, right, because the truth is that you're scared, right? You're scared of drinking again, right? Or I was scared of drinking again. And I knew that this worked. So grab it, hold it tight, right? And, the truth is, I'm still, somewhat scared of drinking again, right? I would consider it being my number one risk would be, of dying or becoming, very, very, very ill, right? That would be my number one risk, and number two, and number three, number four, and number five. So number six, I don't know what number six is. Maybe like I don't know what type of problem you can have, but those would be definitely my biggest risks, because it's been a known problem for me, right? And it does have serious, impacts to me. So you're scared of doing it, so you keep doing these repeat. But then you start to get a little bit more confident, right, that you can do some other things, and you can start to, do like I'm doing. I hope, to do a lot more things, right, and feel a lot more sort of free in my pattern. And, I'd like to change some stuff up in my life, right, and, I don't know if that means, I don't exactly know what that means, but I know that, I've moved beyond that need to cling to the pattern in sort of a very, very compulsive way, right? Dedicated and compulsive way. So, okay, so that talks about like the problems, the techniques, right? I'm going to talk, maybe just, I'll give you a couple minutes here on talking about positive things, like positive things that I've noticed. And, hope, like why you want to, why you'd like to get sober. So I've told you some problems, and I can't tell you that it's fun. I can't tell you it's good, but I can tell you that those are some of the problems that I still go through, right? So some of the benefits and the hopes of getting sober, right? Well, number one, I'm alive, right? I'm alive, and I can continue to progress in my life, right? Your relationships very slowly do improve, and sometimes they improve really quick, right? But they generally slowly improve. You know what? Even before the relationships, the calmness of your mind, that would probably be the being alive, and then your mind starts to calm down, right? You start to calm down because you're not having like these waking up and you don't know where you are and you don't know what you did, and you're not having a massive injury or anything like that. Like you're waking up and you're calmer, right? Because you know what happened. Like everything it all kind of makes sense, and you can remember everything, and so that's really good. So your mind starts to sort of settle down, and it's not like crazy every day like it used to be for me, right? Like every day from the minute you wake up till you go to sleep, it's crazy, and you don't know what's going to happen, right? And you don't know where you're heading, and you don't know where you're going to get the money, and you don't know hey, if you're in the scene, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's nuts out there, and so you're not going through that, right? You're not spending the money on it, right? So like, I mean, it becomes a major expense, right? Like you're out there, you gotta buy, your case of beer, your bottle of wine, your jug of whiskey, your Listerine. I got down to the Listerine. It was bad news, right? And then, if you're into the drugs, you gotta go get your stuff, right? So you gotta find it, right? You got to go find it. You got to find the money for it. You got to figure out how to get it. You got to sell this, do that. You got to buy that. You got to, it's a whole thing. So, you're not doing any of that. That doesn't take up any of your mental activities, right? So that's good, right? Slowly but surely, I think that you become healthier, right? Like your eyes get a bit brighter, right? I don't know, just like what I was saying about the skin cells changing and this and that. And think about it, like if you're doing drugs and alcohol and you're eating like your chicken and your potatoes and your I don't know, some green thing, right? Well, then all your cells are getting like chicken, potatoes, and green thing, but they're also getting like all this garbage, right? So that's getting into your cells, and those are what the cells make, right? So then if you take that out, and it's just the chicken and the potatoes and the green stuff, right? And you keep eating that, well, now you're feeling it, better and better, and it's getting healthier and healthier because that's what your cells want. They don't want the garbage stuff, right? They want the good stuff. So your cells start getting healthier, and slowly but surely that starts showing up here, everywhere, right? All your stuff, like your guts and your stuff like that. They really appreciate you not hammering it with the old gut rot every day. They really appreciate that you're just giving it some nice water, maybe some coffee, a bit of coffee, maybe some milk, maybe a little bit of tomato juice, like just some good stuff, right? Like you're not pounding it every day, every night, right? Like with a sledgehammer. And so your guts start feeling like a lot better, and slowly, because your stomach lining, that changes over really quick too, like your skin. So they really appreciate your cells and your body, the good stuff. And slowly, as you're eating that good stuff, and you're calmer, it starts to show off on your body, so you're healthier, right? Then the relationships, right? Some of the relationships you may never get back, right? Some of the reputations that you got, or the ways people think about you, will never change, right? But for the most part, they will, right? I'd say for the most part, people start liking you again, and start talking to you. They start thinking you're cool again. They start wanting to hang out with you. For the most part, I'd say that the relationships slowly but steadily, the closer circle of friends, they will stay and they will come back and be your friends again, and they'll think you're cool. They kind of think you're cool because like they seen you in a bad state, and now you're in a better state, and there's something cool about that, even if they drink or not. I've been told by lots of people, I was a goner, and so or something to that effect, goner, and so now they see you in a better situation, and it sort of makes them feel good about you, and so you got like a good. That's another thing, you get like a gooder vibe coming off you. You get a gooder sort of like energy coming off you, because you're never really there, but you're trying to get there. You're trying to get better. You're trying to get cleaner and soberer, and maybe try to help other people a little bit, like talk to them and stuff like that. But the energy coming off you is good, right? And so I don't know what that energy thing, aura thing, stuff is, or nothing like that, but I know that it's better. It gets a little bit better, a little bit like those lights on the baseball field, right? A little bit better. And so people start seeing that kind of aura thing, and they start, like, I don't know, smiling at you a little bit more, and like better things happen for you, and not as many bad things happen for you, right? And it has something to do with that aura and stuff like that. So that's good. Yeah, so like those are some of the benefits of doing it, right? And honestly, laying in them hospital beds, in them detoxes, and other places that aren't so good, right? Quite honestly, I never thought I'd get sober. I never thought. In fact, I was dedicated to not getting sober. I was mentally determined to not get sober. And I guess maybe I'll end it with talking like this. Okay, so how it happens for people, you know, a lot of times maybe people go into one of these hospitals, these institutions. They say institutions like that, or rehab, right? Or maybe they go to the meetings. You know, me, I feel like it was where they call it like a divine intervention, right? Like a divine intervention, or it was epiphany, divine intervention, epiphany. I don't know. You know, like I was drunk one night, right? I was drunk real bad, and I was sitting on that toilet, right? And I was drunk. I was really drunk. I was like a month deep in drinking, right? With you know, just as many beer bottles as there was floor space, and up on every counter and everything like that. And I was just doing one of my rips. I mean, it was just normal activities for me, right? Like, you'll know what I mean if you're a hardcore, right? Like, it's not nothing but, you know, it's just normal. It's just, hey, this is my life, you know. Beer here, beer there. Beer. I mean, in one way, it would almost be like a flashback if I was able to, you know, be drunk and show you how bad of a drunk I was. But anyway, so I was sitting on that toilet, and I looked up about 4:30 a.m., right? And I seen this flash, which I don't know if it was a real flash, or if it was a satellite flash, or if it was a star, or what the heck it was. I think it was a satellite, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, whatever it was, this white light flashed like this, like up in the sky, and it triggered off this nanosecond sort of insight into my life, like seeing the phrase "the whole life before your eyes." But instead of me seeing it in one stream, I saw it in like sort of like the sober stream and the drunk stream, right? Like I seen all my drunken days, and I seen all my sober days, and I saw the differential, right, between the two being so crass, because I had been trying to quit drinking maybe 1,000, 500 times, something like that. Pretty much every day you wake up, you swear you're not going to drink again, but you're drinking again by 4 o'clock, right? So I quit drinking a lot of times. I go a couple days and that'd be about it, right? So, but I knew that I couldn't keep switching back and forth between these two. And even though I didn't quit that night, I quit 2 nights later. Like I quit, it was a Thursday night that happened, and I had to wait till a Saturday, because Sidney Crosby was playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, Penguins versus the Leafs, on Saturday night hockey night in Canada, and I was huge in a hockey night in Canada, so I had to watch that, and I couldn't be quitting drinking doing that one last go, right? So I went for that. But then on that Sunday, I woke up on that Sunday, and I haven't ever drank since, right? And so I'm almost somewhat amazed, like that I've been able to do that, because I was really, really bad, right? And I was really dedicated to being bad. I was dedicated, right? I was the bad dude, right? So anyway, 7 years, for the future, I guess, hope for the future. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to keep trying to do this, right? I'm going to keep trying to live the example of, getting sober and know my ways, not maybe that, cut and paste. It's a little bit off, it's a little bit, got some strange twist to it, with my personality, the way I do things, the YouTube, the desire for all that kind of stuff. I got a weird sort of a niche on it. It's not your cut and paste situation, but it's working, right? Like, it's working. I'm staying sober, right? So, and I got a lot of beer in there, right? I got a lot of beer, right? I got enough to go for a while. So I'm really doing it, and so what I'm saying is that that's what I like doing, right? Like I like living it. I like living out sort of like you can do it, you can get clean, you can change your life, right? You can improve it one freaking cell at a time, one moment at a time, not one day at a time, not one whole finger at a time, not one whole arm, or You know, like nothing like that, right? Like it's one cell, it's one moment, right? And you know, so that's how I'm doing it, right? Real minimalist for the real maximalist, right? So, okay. Well, I hope you liked that little talk there. I don't know, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever talk about this again. I do hope, though, and I do pay attention to the comments. I know I'm not commenting back as like I used to, just sort of, but, you know, I encourage you listening to this right now, right, that I'm telling you, you're looking at the dude who was the worst. Right, the worst. Whatever situation you're in, I was probably in that situation or worse, right? And so, you know, you can do that one day, right? Like you can try to get through to that midnight. Just look at that clock and just try to get that midnight. Just that's all you got to do. Midnight, baby. Midnight, 12:01. You got through one day, and you do it again and 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 again, and you can do it. I don't care if you're in the worst situation ever, right? And then, you know, let those other good changes come for you, right? Like, don't worry about the time, but just worry about yourself and what you're doing or what you're trying to do, right? You try to get clean, right? Try to get sober, right? And try to stay that way, and let all the other things happen for you, right? And that's what I want to represent, and I want to encourage you to do it, right? So, there you go. Love you all. Alright, please don't forget to like the video below and subscribe to the channel up above. I do my videos on Wednesdays, and I hope you have a wonderful day.